Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. In a few seconds you'll be watching me doing a on the bank test of this new Matrix Horizon X 5000 series reel. Now I did a video on this last week, and I just talked about the specifications of the reel, what I'd found out from the Horizon X 4000 size reel, and what made me buy this. I also did a bit of a comparison of the specs between this and the Preston Intensity 720 reel. So I think without further ado, let's get into this on the bank test, and then you can see what I'm talking about.
And here we are back on the riverbank. This is the same river where I tested the Intensity, the Preston Intensity 720. It's actually probably the same swim, I'm not absolutely sure, but what I'm going to do is exactly the same tests as I did with that. I've put, I think that's about 3/4 of an ounce or an ounce bomb on. Haven't actually cast in yet with this reel, never been used. Got trees all around me, so I've got to be a bit careful, and we'll just give it a reasonable... Yeah, it casts pretty well. I've hit the far bank. It's up a tree on the far bank. I don't believe this. I only gave that a really light chuck. Well, if this thing will only do 60 to 80 metres, I mean, well, there's the tree off the far bank that I've just pulled off. So anyway, this thing casts really well. Okay, let's get this hook out of it. We'll get some bait on, and we'll get a feeder on, and we'll see how this thing performs in practice. But pretty impressive so far, even if it was a bit of a mess up on my part. Right, well initially then I'll put this great big feeder on. As you can see here, this is my biggest feeder. I've got a 30 gram weight in the back, and the actual body weighs 20 grams. So overall at the moment this weighs 50 grams. What I'm going to do is get some bait in to the thing, and then when I chuck it out, it's probably going to weigh in the region of 100 grams, maybe 120, because I do tend to fill it up with a fair bit of bait. Now just initially I'm going to be using the line clip, and I'll come back to that in a second. Scott from Fishing Adventures channel had a word on the line clip, but let's get some bait out there and then we can talk a bit more as we go. So I'm just going to cast about 20 metres. It's a bit of a guess because the bottom's kind of all over the place here. It does go down 14 to 18 feet, but there's lots of rocks all around. So we'll just get into where I think is about the right place. Nice easy chuck to about there, and I'll put the line clip on, and then we'll keep chucking to the same place for about the next 5 or 6 goes. I won't show you that part because that's just me getting some bait in, and you've seen that before. I won't show you all of these, but we'll do this one as well because this time it'll hit the line clip. And in fact, just talking about that while I'm on, it's nice easy. There we go, all that sinks. Scott was talking about the line clip on the Matrix Horizon X being problematic in that it's actually quite sharp around the edges there, certainly on the 4000 series. I'll put a link in the description box down below so you can see his channel and what he said about that. Let me just get this in. But I'm not actually using this reel with the line clip on. Simple reason being that where I go, as I've mentioned before, you often get these great big tear off takes, which if I'd got the line clip on, I'd be probably losing the rod. I have spoken to some pet friends, and I've also spoken to the tackle shop where I bought this. They've sold quite a few of the Matrix Horizon reels, and they've never had one back yet, and never had any complaints about the line clip, so I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions from that. Certainly double handle, as I mentioned earlier, on this one, and for cranking in, not a problem at all. We'll see what it's like on the fish, but for the moment I've got to get some more balls of ground bait in just to get things started off. Okay, well I've got the bait in, I'm all set up. I've put my little yellow piece of elastic on the line there at the relevant point, and so what I'm going to do now is just cast in It will go to the line clip first of all, but then I'm going to take the line clip off and I'll be using that marker as I've shown you in the past. Let's get this just to go down. It's taking about 13-14 seconds so far to get to the bottom. And then we'll put it on the rest and see how we go. Now, because the river is going to be moving fairly quickly, we may need to put the anti-reverse on at some point, but I do like to, if possible, try to fish with the anti-reverse off, just in case I get a savage take. Just while I'm waiting, let's just talk about the handles on this reel for a second. As I've said, it's a double-handled reel. I like double-handled reels, but not everybody does. What I like about them is that I'm actually fishing with the anti-reverse off, so in other words, it can backwind if it needs to. If you have a single handle on, quite often that can drop back just like that and just let some line out, and it just doesn't always do what I want it to. I find with the double handle it's more balanced and you don't get that drop back in the same way. This one is particularly good actually. It seems to be holding quite well. The current's moving quite reasonably. The tide, as I say, is going out. It will get stronger in the next hour or two, but we'll see how we go with that, and I may need to put the anti-reverse on, but we'll see. But certainly so far, as far as that goes, it's staying in the position I put it, and I'm perfectly happy. Looks like a bite to me. Yep, it's definitely something. I haven't set the clutch yet, so let's actually just move that a couple. Maybe a little bit tight at the moment. This is where we just play around a little bit with it just to see how we go, but this is a decent fish. Got to be careful, there's a sunken log down there, as I say. That's taking nicely. There's no initial inertia that stops, and then it suddenly releases. Now this is taking line, he's just swimming downstream, so certainly so far, clutch wise, it seems to be fine. I'll just give it one click or two. There we go, it's starting to come now. I think this is going to be quite a decent fish. It's one of those ones that just decided to go its own way at whatever speed it felt like doing. Oof. Yeah, like this. He's actually underneath that branch. I can see him down there. I know it's behind the camera, but let's get this right down here. Snagged up. Come on, out of there. I can see the thing moving. He's still on, but he's right in the tree. Oh, he's taking line still. He's pulling out a bit. Let's see if we can get him away from that. Oh, I'm under that branch there. Really got some good pressure on the clutch here, so it's a good test of that, even if it's not good for me fishing here. Right, come on fish, get out of there. He's just on the edge of that branch and I can't see which way he's... Damn, felt him pull off and I'm now snagged up on the tree. Well, it's not all going according to plan, as you can see, but the clutch was really good. Now all I've got to do is pull for a break off this tree. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. And that's the tree where he's taking me into. He's taking me into just down here. If I waggle the rod a bit, look, maybe you can see that. But that's where I'm actually at. So, going to have to be careful of that. That's going to be a bit of a problem, isn't it? Whew. Right, well, I've tackled everything back up again, having taken off that old rig and all that braided line. I've also moved the elastic that's my marker back up a metre to accommodate for the bit that I've lost. And now we're going to get back out there and see if this time we can get one in. Right, current's getting a bit stronger even so. Still holding bottom with the 50 gram feeder. And that's it, just hit the bottom there. So Let's see how we go. Let's see if we can just get this one in. I wish that tree wasn't there, otherwise we'd have had that one, and that was a good fish. And the clutch worked remarkably well. I was playing with it a little bit, obviously, as you saw. It had a lot more clicks than the intensity does, and that's what I liked about it. It wasn't too many, just 2 or 3 clicks and you get a bit more pressure, 2 or 3 clicks, a bit more pressure, as opposed to 1 click and lots of pressure. So, happy with that so far. Oh, and here we go again. Right, well that was straight in, it's straight under, wasn't it? So, now I've got the clutch set more or less how I wanted it, I think, and it's taking line quite nicely. Look, I'm just showing you the way it's going. Now, somehow, we've got to try and keep this out of the way of that tree and all the other snags on the bottom. Oh, that goes quite nicely, doesn't it? When he needs to go, he goes. Now, it's going down that tree again. But certainly, the reel is performing really well. He's right in that tree. Come on, fish, get out of there. He's just hanging in the current. He's heading for the tree. No, don't go down there. Of all the places, why can't you go upstream? Come on, out of there. Get out. Tighten it down a little bit. Come on, fish. Come on. Oh, we're in the tree again. I can feel it. I shouldn't have maybe chosen this swim today, should I? Because these fish are a big fish. And he's up that tree. Just what I don't need. How on earth am I going to get out of there? Come on, come on, come on. Come on, fish. It's just down in the bit where I showed you on the other camera a minute ago. Come on. Right, we're off the tree. Whew. I thought we'd lost the fish then as well. Whew, this is hard work. It's fun though, isn't it? Right, at least we're up where we need to be now. Right, I'll slacken off that clutch a bit now to accommodate. But again, I just need a small amount of turn to give me that extra power I needed. So that's worked out well too. He's heading downstream again a little bit, so I think we've got most of the power taken out of him now, but just give it a little bit more of a tweak. This one seems to take 2 or 3 or 4 clicks to make the same difference that the intensity did on one. He's not as big as the other guy, but at least we've got him out of that snag. Just slacken off just a little bit just to accommodate any lunges. He's right underneath me now. Whew. It's a long way down. It doesn't look far on the camera, but this is a 4.5 metre landing net I'm using. Just an odd click out of it, which is what I wanted. You can maybe hear it. Gives it enough so if he decides to make a burst for it, he can still take some line. Oh, that's a nice fish. Shame about the other one because it was definitely bigger than this one. No, saw the net. Come on, fish. No, doesn't want to know, does he? I've caught in the tree behind me as well. There's a great big, huge tree behind me here, and the end of the landing net keeps catching on it. And that is only just going in the net. Whew. That's a nice fish even so, and it's smaller than the one I'm caught in the tree again. I will fish these places, won't I? But that is a good fish. Bigger than I first thought. Right, let's get this hook out. We're going to weigh this guy. Right, this net weighs £1.04 when I'm doing it the way I do it. So there's 0. And that fish weighs, hang on, £13.5. So he's £12 2 ounces. Okay. You'd think he was bigger because he's a long fish. I'll try and show you him in the net. But that is a nice fish, look. We'll get him back in the net. Well, whew, let's get back in there and get another one. Now, one of the big problems with the intensity reel was the skirt on the spool was only a sort of a short one, sort of small thing, and the line was going round the back and between the rotor and giving me all sorts of problems with tangles. Certainly with the 4000 matrix, and so far with the 5000 matrix, they've got a full skirt on them. The rotor doesn't get exposed, and I've had no issues with that at all. So no tangles at all with the matrix reels. And that was the main reason I gave up on the intensity. Well, because it comes with the single handle, I've put one on. Changed from the double handle that I like, and we'll see how much difference that makes to the cranking power. Right. It should actually make quite a big difference because it's a longer handle, so it should make things easier, although I have to admit that with the double handle I still found that was fine for doing what I wanted to, and I'll probably stay with that because it seems to, as I say, do what it says on the tin, but it also gives me the double handle. I just like that, personal preference. If you like the single handle, that may work better for you. I've had 2 or 3 casts now with the extra long handle on it, the single handle, and if I'm honest, I'm starting to become converted. It is so much easier to do. As I said previously, it's not a problem with the double handle, but it's just effortless with the single handle, just being that much longer, I suppose. The current's getting stronger and stronger, so we're now up to a 70 gram feeder, and it's the first cast with it. Reel wasn't fussed, rod was good as usual. Giving it a few minutes, and we'll now get the 70 gram feeder in, and again completely effortless with this handle. I think I am convinced by that now. I stand corrected. I think we might leave this one on, just so we've covered all the bases. This time, when I chuck out, remember I've got a 70 gram feeder on, and I've got all that ground bait in it, and I'm going to give it a reasonable chuck, because we haven't done that yet. Just sort of nice, straightforward, and that's easily over 3/4 of the way to the other side of the river. This reel will cast more than 80 metres, I'm absolutely convinced of it. I mean, if I've cast it out there something like 120 grams, and that's got to be a good 40 odd metres or more, this thing's capable of so much more than they say. So anyway, at least we've covered that base too. And again, just reeling back, no problem. So now let's get some more bait on and see how we go. That's a bite. Whoa! Now I've got the clutch tightened down a bit more, I think, this time. We're just going to keep winding. Let's see if we can get him up past that tree. Give it plenty of oomph. It's going down towards the tree, but I think I might just clear it. Yeah, there you go. That's what you call cranking power. Whew. Well, he's not the biggest fish I've had today, but it just goes to show if you tighten this clutch down and use the handle to crank, it'll crank nicely. Relatively small fish for here. He woke up, didn't he? Come on, fish. I don't think he properly knew he was hooked to start with. Alright, come on. Where you going, fish? Alright. Well, at least we got him away from that snag this time, and proved the cranking power of the reel. He's probably only 3.5 pounds or so, I suppose. But yeah, not bad at all. Yes. Again, I'm giving it pressure. Try and keep it out there a bit. Ah, he's coming in. Try and bully him past that obstruction, given there's a lot of pressure. I can see where the line goes down there, but he's not too far in at the moment, but he's on the surface. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. He's just heading for that. Oh, just got him past it. Woo! That was all a bit touch and go. I'm not using the clutch at all at the moment. If I need it to go and give it line, I'm going to be using the back line for now, because I just can't afford to give them line or they end up in that snag. Yep. Nope. What on earth have we got here? The place is full of sticks. Okay, this one's probably about 5. Just holding on. He's coming upstream. Alright, well, because he's upstream, I'm going to mess with the clutch a little bit again. It does seem to have plenty of variation in it, which is what I do like. So he's just pulling quite nicely now. He's actually going out the way instead of down the way. Couple more clicks. Swimming towards me now. Just what I didn't need. Right underneath the bank here. Literally straight down underneath me. Okay. Well, enough of that messing around. We'll see if we can get him in the net. Right, come on. You'll do. Oh. Well, that worked out. The fish was cooperative too. Yeah, caught up behind that tree again. Right. As I say, he's not a huge fish, but he's a chunky fish. And he's probably in the 5 to 6 pound range, something like that. Really quite a thick fish across the shoulders. Probably more like 5 actually. But good fun, eh? Yeah. Oh, he's gonna take off big time. Oh, that spool's spinning and this clutch is tightened down fairly hard. And I'm going to wind up in those bushes again. this clutch down completely. He's right in amongst that tree. Well, he's actually past the tree, but let's see if we can just fool him into swimming towards us for a bit. He's actually over the tree. Oh, he's right in the tree. Oh. I don't think this one's coming in. Whew. And got him. Try not to fall in, as I say. Well, I didn't think we were getting him back. You saw the state of that tree. If you'd seen the performance I just went through to get him out of it. Whew. Right. Let's get him in. Probably got abrasions all up and down this line, but that's why I use the Guru drag line, because it's pretty much that. Bulletproof drag line. Whew. And he's a decent enough fish. He's probably, again, 5 or 6 pound, and it's stuck up that tree again. Right. Okay. Well, probably gonna have to re-rig after this one, so I think we might call it quits at that for the day, and have a quick summary of where we got to in a second. A quick look at him. Look how thick he is. Lovely fish though, aren't they? Beautiful. Okay, sort myself out and we'll do that summary. Whew. So what do I actually think about the Matrix Horizon X 5000 reel? Well, I really like it. So let's just go through some of the things that we've tested today and how well it's done. So first of all, casting. You saw that debacle at the start where I put that bomb up the tree over there. I've also cast out the feeder with some bait in, just a reasonable chuck, and it's gone 3/4 of the way across the river effortlessly. And I think I probably used that word a lot this video. As I've said, Matrix seem to be saying that this is a reel for 60 to 80 meters, and for me that's fine because I don't really need to go beyond 70 meters normally. Obviously the Preston intensity to a 720 is designed to go over 100 meters, and that's fine, but it's not something I actually needed. What I actually needed, in addition to being able to cast, was cranking power. And because this came with the double handle and a single handle, I've been able to test each one against the other. And whilst initially I was convinced I'd never change to a single handle, I think I am now convinced at that, for this heavy duty sort of feeder work anyway. Remember, I'm chucking 120 gram feeders, and let's say we're chucking them 50 meters or so, maybe more, I don't know, I haven't tried that yet because it's not quite 50 meters over there. But trying to crank them back in afterwards, and certainly cranking fish in, that single handle makes a difference. Yes, it isn't as balanced when you're trimmed up like that as the double handled one, because that doesn't have this thing where it can fall backwards so much. It balances itself up, but in reality, for this kind of work, single handle I think is probably the way to go. So I think Lee Carey was right when he said that about the intensity, and it's certainly right for the Matrix Horizon X 5000. So we've talked about casting, we've talked about cranking. A couple of other quick things. Bail arm, as I said with the 4000, very positive, no issues with that whatsoever. Clutch wise, again, as with the 4000, I found this really responsive. It isn't this 1, 2 or 3 clicks to go from low, medium and high. It's got quite a good variation in it. And I've had some Brahmas today with that tree down there. And I've tried having it tightened all the way down and cranking it back, the fish back anyway. I've tried using the clutch as you normally would, and I'd have to say I'm more than happy with it. Plenty of variation. It's not like you've got to keep turning and turning and turning, just literally a little bit of a twist of your wrist and you've got what you need in any circumstance from what I can see. Now the two things I didn't like about the intensity was, as I just said, the drag or the clutch with that sort of low, medium and high, or relatively high anyway. This one beats that hands down as far as I'm concerned. Some people may well like the speed drag system from the intensity, but not for me. The big thing with the intensity for me, as I've said in the previous videos, was that it doesn't have a full spool on it, a full skirt on the spool. This one has a full skirt from here to here, whereas the intensity probably is only sort of that little bit there. And the problem with that is that the intensity doesn't have a line guard around the rotor and the spool, and so when the spool is at its furthest extension, all of the back is exposed and I got countless tangles up behind it. So that was the thing for me which decided me that I wasn't going to use it. The Horizon, as I say, it's got the full skirt, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the way to go for me. I've never had a tangle with either 5000 or the 4000 behind the reel, so that's an absolute bonus in my book. In terms of price, well, this cost me, I think it was £108. The intensity probably cost me, I think, about £135, but with the intensity you do get the spare spool with it. So by the time you've added on a spare spool to this one, you're probably adding 20 quid or so onto it, so you're probably looking at, let's say, £125, £130 for the combination, and that's exactly where the intensity is. So for me, I am testing pretty much like for like, with the possible exception of that being a long distance reel. I think this one would probably get up towards 100 meters if I'm honest, but I just haven't had the ability to test that one today. But in all other respects, I prefer the Matrix Horizon X to the Intensity 720 reel. You may like the Intensity, and as I said before, it's a perfectly good reel. It's just that I didn't like those two things, the clutch and the tangles. So this is it for me. This is the winner, hands down, and I'd be happy to recommend it to anyone. So that's it then. We've done the initial review, we've done the test, and now it's just time to say goodbye. So, goodbye folks, see you next time.